Welcome to the Frugalpreneur podcast. I am your host, Sarah St. John, and my guest today is certified in Google Analytics, Google Ads, and Facebook Ads, and is the co-founder of Today's Business, which made the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing digital marketing agencies. Welcome to the show, Billy Ash.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
Good to have you. Can you go in a little bit into your background and history, how you got into this business and started it?
Sure, yeah. Started the agency about 10 years ago, right out of college. Um, and honestly, I was brought into the company to build out their website. Kind of saw where my now business partners' ideas went, and we really connected. We both kind of understood each of us had different skill sets. I was definitely more of the digital guy, and he had all of the business connections and real entrepreneurial spirits. So the two of us really just combined and collaborated, and we started as a networking agency. And really just wanted to network with people. From there, people started asking us who built our website, who was doing our social media, and we were like, okay, well, let's start doing it. So we ended up starting doing social media about 10 years ago, before Facebook went public, before there was anything as Facebook ads or anything, or Instagram was really even thought about. We had started kind of running organic social media plays, posting 5 times a day on Facebook and Twitter, and really growing from there. Since then, we have grown. We've grown tremendously in terms of our client size. We've grown, grown tremendously in terms of our employee base, and of course revenue with all of those. Um, we are now a full service agency, so we do everything from any creative design that you need, from video to motion graphics to website design and development. We have a full in-house development team. We have a one of what I would say strongest SEO teams in the industry. We are growing our Google Ads team now, and continuing to grow our ads team. So if there's anybody ever interested, check out our website. And we've recently launched, actually about 4 years ago, our affiliate marketing division. So we have kind of encompassed every aspect of social media, every aspect of the internet throughout the past 10 years, and continued to grow from there. We now, I used to brag about the size of our office, but we have now transitioned into a remote first environment, is how we describe it, where our employees have the option to come into our office 2 days a week, or I'm sorry, they have the option to come into the office up to, or as often as they would like, but they're required to come into the office about 2 days a month. And we try to schedule different in-person meetings there. We do have some employees now that are completely remote, and we are bringing them up for different events. But yeah, that's kind of the last 10 years of my life in a nutshell and today's business.
Wow. And we were talking a little bit before we started, and you had mentioned that you started in a basement with just $400 and now have grown this big company that I guess you said at one time had 150, was it
150
client?
about clients. Yeah.
Yeah.
We started with $400 in the basement. I was making the joke. The actual first check from Today's Business went to me before I worked for TV to build their website. And, we just started hungry, young, and knew we had something. At that point, we were thinking of building our own type of website. And like I said, we kind of were asked to do social media for people. And we're like, okay, we can do this. We're smart enough to take money off of a table, and I can run some social media. I can make your, write a tweet. That's fine. And really, we started that, and then it just started to boom. We honestly hit it at the right time. We were young. We were at we were in a marketplace where you didn't want somebody 50 years old running your social media 10 years ago. They didn't know what Facebook was, they didn't know what Twitter was. So we weren't fighting against these experts that had been in this industry. We're like, no, we're young, we're energetic, and we know how to write a tweet. We can do this for you. And kind of from there, I had an excellent internship while I was in college. So I was in charge of getting all of these tweets and social media posts out. So the first thing I said was, we need an internship program. I was like, we need an internship program. Let's get some interns. So the first thing we did was grab all of our friends and family's friends that were in college and kind of wanted to learn something. And we all gathered in the basement. And then we went above a pizzeria. And I would write note cards every single day to every single intern, what they would do. And to think now what those interns were actually responsible for in terms of writing the actual tweets, some of them were dealing with clients. It is kind of scary, but that's how we ran things. We bootstrapped the entire thing. At one point, we signed our biggest client because they asked us to go to a conference in Vegas with them, and we used every dollar in our bank account to buy air tickets right in front of them so they would sign the contract. And that's actually what got us into the medical field. Um, and yeah, there's a ton of different random stories along the way that's helped carved our kind of culture and company and where we are today. But that was the base of it, was, hey, we can do this, people need this, let's just go with the momentum. And then 2 years into it, somebody was like, hey, can you run our Google ads, can you build our website? And my business partner Tom always said, yeah, we can. And then I always tasked with figuring out how to do that. And whether it was with interns or finally hiring an employee, and hiring our first two employees part-time, to hiring our first full-time employee, to our biggest capacity, we had about 50 full-time employees, and now I was saying we're around 40 full-time employees.
Mm. So I guess you leverage having interns because I assume that that's free, right? They just get some kind of college credit or something, or how does
Well,
that work?
originally they got a great experience and a ton of pizza, because we were above the pizzeria. So they got great food and not just pizza. They would get pasta on Tuesdays, pizzas on Wednesdays, and that's really how we operated. From there we started charging $400 a month for anything and everything underneath the sun. We had a friend that could take photos, so for that $400, we would go and take photos of your practice or your pizzeria and try to leverage it that way. And honestly, at that point, we were also so young that other agencies wanted to white label us. So at one
Mm.
point, I had like 4 different business cards, and was the social media manager here, there, and they were just paying today's business, but I just represented their social media wing. And like I said, it was kind of because these agencies hadn't built out a social media wing. Facebook,
Mm.
like we were talking prime Facebook just kind of starting. And that was kind of how we really just carved our niche. We were the social media guys. I was the social guru for forever. And my buddies always laughed at it. And they're like, that's because you used to flirt with girls all day on Facebook. And it's still a joke to this day with my good college friends that Bill works on Facebook. Who would have thought? Because always in college, I was always on Facebook. I was always on social media. I kind of just was a young and embraced it. Facebook came out when I was like a junior in high school. It was like the coolest thing. But I'd always been in social media in some realms. I mean, back to AOL when I was in elementary school, and so that's kind of just how it all founded. But that's how we grew the business, was definitely off of great work of our interns. I'm proud to say some of those interns are still with us today. They are, our company was founded and grew from our internship program. Of course, within 10 years, you do hire from outside, and not everyone comes from our internship program, but it is still a vital piece of our growth. And um, really something that without it, I don't know how we would have. If I don't think we would be where we are today. I know we wouldn't. We wouldn't have the employees that we do, the relationships that we've built. It's really that was a fundamental piece.
Wow, yeah, that is really interesting. I'd love to hear more about that because, um, a lot of the listeners are trying to build a business on a budget, including myself, and but they need a little bit of outside help to take on the load, or maybe there's something that they don't know how to do or whatever. And I never really thought about interns. What is that? I mean, of course, 10 years ago, it was probably different than maybe how it is today, but like, how do you go about getting interns who are
I
willing
mean,
to
honestly,
work?
it hasn't. Our philosophy really never changed. We wanted to go to the local colleges. We were a New Jersey based agency. So we went to Seton Hall, we went to Rutgers, we reached out to every single career advisor. That's who found me my internship. So I went right back to how I found mine. And I was like, this is what college kids do. Let's go right here, talk to the career interns. How do we get approved from this? And actually, one of our funniest stories is Seton Hall University. There's a lady, Beth Brannigan. I think she has since retired, but she is excellent, and she has helped so many students at Seton Hall. But she came into our pizzeria, and we were above the pizzeria, and we had lunch. And she walked at us. She goes, "You guys are either going to be millionaires or broke in a year, but I think you have something here." And she approved our. She was like, "I had no idea what I like. It's a digital marketing agency, but I'm walking into a pizzeria." And we're like, yeah, no, we're young. And she ended up being a huge piece for, I mean, some of our greatest or best employees had come from Seton Hall. We now work with a bunch of different since we've opened up the internship, I think we've uh, eclipsed over 100 different universities we've had
Hmm.
students from. Um, we but to start it, that's how we started it. We got every single
Mhm.
career advisor, marketing communication advisor. We let them know, hey, we have this internship program, here it is. Since then it has evolved. um, One of the and before I go on that tangent, it has evolved. There's different things. The state is New Jersey provides excellent grants for companies that provide good internship programs.
Hmm.
So for they do help sometimes with payments for different industries. So your state websites may be able to help you in some different areas there. But honestly, it was just roots on the ground. We knew social media. These
Hmm.
advisors didn't know social media. Their students wanted to know about social media. It was, once again, kind of hit it while the fire was hot. So we were able to kind of just leverage that. I would say from being able to white label by having other agencies white label our services, we were able to have high quality clients on our roster very early, which I think helped kind of attribute some credibility to us. But at the end of the day, it was really Beth Brannigan and those advisors that gave us a shot and gave us accredited to be able to run it. The first time it was just friends. Like I said, they got
Hmm.
intern, they got experience. They will all still stand by their experience that they've got here. I still stand by the fact that I was up till midnight with those interns working some nights, and they were a foundation, and they take great pride in to see what we've since come up, and we take great pride in seeing where they are in life. But from there, it was these advisors that believed in us. We were transparent. We knew what we were. We knew we had clients. We knew what we were trying to teach. And we didn't try to hide it. We weren't like, oh, we're this $1 million agency. We're a startup. This is where you're at. You can get credits. This is where they'll come. Here's where their working environment is. Like, we had nice pizza tables upstairs. It was great. And to be honest, they loved it. We were right. Our first office was in Livingston, which was right like within 10 miles of Seton Hall University. So we were in a good distance. We also knew a bunch of or coaches within their area. So we were able to do that. and kind of leverage some coaches and see if their athletes wanted to play, needed internships. That was kind of how we started, and then from there it was really interns just told other interns, and then once we got
Mhm.
into the college, we had 4 resumes the next time, and then I would go in, and still to this day, we'll go in and speak at different universities, and with still the relationships that we have built with these professors. So I'll still go in, and we do that, or if any of our employees go in and speak on any of the boards, we uh, that's really just how we've continued to grow. We're just active.
That's awesome. So basically you talk to the internship program, like the internship advisors,
All
and
like
as long
the Yeah, all of your student advisors for our
mm,
industry. We were
that's
communications,
aw
marketing, business development, or
mhm.
business development, business management. That's what you wanted to learn how we were starting a startup. This is it. We're putting together QuickBooks. You want it? Lesson one. Here's how we go. So that's how we pitched it, and that's what we provided, and still try to provide every single day. I'd say the other thing about growing it is we were very adamant that we were going to hire when we started this internship. So a lot of, like I said, those interns started working even while they were in college part time, and we would pay them stipends to the. One day we were able to pay people hourly, and then we got to per project things, and we still do that to today. So, an intern may get an internship with today's business, do that internship, and then may work part time for us, even if they're in the University of Indiana. For instance, this semester, we have a developer that's out there. So we that's kind of just how we've continued to build that internship. And like I said, I think it was just by doing correct or doing right, treating the interns correctly. And then they went back. We were also very big with like swag. So everybody left with like t-shirts. So when you walked around Seton Hall, people were wearing our hats, people were wearing our t-shirts. It wasn't that people knew, oh, you own today's business. Oh, you're today's business. That wasn't rare. That happened a lot while we were on campus.
Mm. So what are some other things that you did, how you bootstrapped it, and then were there any mistakes that you made along the way that you would advise people to
We don't have we don't have enough time to go through all
Oh,
of
okay.
our mistakes because we have made tons. Other ways that we have bootstrapped it. We never took on financial investors. Obviously, last year and PPP things and things like that has
Mhm.
come on. But really, what we did was live within our expenses. When we first started this company, we ran the entire thing off of our debit card. We would collect money, and then there would be like $8,000 one day, and we didn't take any salaries. And then I was 22 years old and went down to the shore for the weekend, and oh shoot, we spent $700 that weekend. So we realized real quick not to do that. Our first check My first paycheck from today's business was $100. I still have it. It's a very important thing to us. And it was from our advisors. That was one of the things. We had great advisors. Like I said, my business partner, I knew who he knew, and I knew that was very important. And our advisors, first time we ever went into our account, he was like, "You can't let this kid just have a debit card and let him go. Like, you have to pay him $100 a week or whatever we can afford, but you can't let Billy just spend money." And I was that kid. Like, you can't let him just do that. And I was naive, young, thought my company was going to be a millionaire like that. Of course, I was an entrepreneur. It's going to be easy. Uh, and that was the fundamental thing. We started living we didn't live off of our company. So we built our bank account from the third month of actually having money in the account. We started, okay, Billy, you live off of this budget. Tom, you make off this budget. We both lived at home at this time. So it wasn't the biggest risk for us. I did have rent in Florida that I was paying. I forgot to mention that. I moved up from Florida to start today's business on a whim off of one phone call or one meeting during my Thanksgiving break. But that's how I like actually became an owner and everything like that. But yeah, honestly, it started like that. I will give all of the credit to my business partner Tom. He is the business mind behind this. He is the reason we are profitable today. He is the reason we are organized in our finances today. I run the strategy. I run digital advertising. Tom has made sure since the day he told me I can't use that debit card and here's your $100 salary, has controlled all of our finances. And I think that's a good thing to note to anyone, because we had talked about knowing your strengths. Like that wasn't my area. I'm not the accounting guy. I'm not the finance guy. Um, I'm good with numbers when they tend to be sessions and impressions and things like that and click through rates. But when they have dollar signs next to it, something happens and I'm just not great with it. And definitely not great with managing it. So Tom can definitely speak a little bit towards that. What I would say, one of the biggest things is we were able to keep our overhead low always. It wasn't until we really outgrew that pizzeria that we got an office. And that pizzeria was Tom's dad's pizzeria. That's why we were there, because we
Mm.
had a free office. So all of those things had helped us kind of continue to build it. Now throughout the years, how have things gone? I think one thing that I've understood is that we've done is just grow. So, like I said, we grow from our internship. So we never had the opportunity to go out and give somebody, 5, 6 years ago, that six-figure salary. We weren't making six-figure salaries. Uh, that that wasn't even an option. So it was always, we can get you as an intern. We're going to pay you for the last 2 years. You really liked it. And then you wanted to come work for today's business. We didn't have to fight about salaries and this and that. We had employees that truly wanted to work for us. And that helped us. It'd be very naive of me to say that wasn't a big thing because we couldn't compete. We were right next to New York City. And we did go through those struggles. I mean, for years, we dealt with the New York City blues, because the other thing about getting somebody right out of college is 2 years later, they're like, oh, that big city right next to us. I want to go to that big city. Well, we were never going to, talking about being frugal, we were never going to pay for a New York City rent. That's not our idea of, we can take a train into the city all day. But none of us wanted to go into that and get there or go into the city. We were very comfortable with New Jersey. So we used to deal with people leaving the company just because they wanted to go to the city. They just wanted to live in the city. They were 25 in New Jersey. And I get it, because when there's parts that I still want to go in New York City to live. I can't afford it, but a lot of our employees did want to do that. So those things definitely played roles. In terms of our office, we were always very, very frugal about our office, and about I want to say frugal about our office, but we didn't go to the Class A building. We went to the office park and got 5,000 square feet, um, and paid $18 a square foot as opposed to $35 a square foot.
Mhm.
We were always, and once again, that's all credit to Tom, but understanding and still how we run our company today. This is what our overhead is. This is how much we got to make. Like this is what we have to build this month, and that's how we've always run the company. Is can't spend more than we make. That
Mm.
basic logic of and the sad thing is it's not always that way. People don't always think it, that. We thought that's a good thing about Tom and I, and where we've agreed is that has always been kind of our core fundamental. Like we can't spend more than that. So I think there's things that you do in risks. We have had brought in the expensive consultant once. Did that? Didn't. Don't always suggest that. Can't speak for everyone, but in our point of view, it did not work the way that we wanted it to. Um, so I think that is a little bit on kind of how we've continued to be frugal, how we continue to grow it. To us, it was, at one point we signed the Cleveland Cavaliers, and everybody's like,
Mm.
wow, they must have paid you a ton of money. They actually didn't, but we used them to get us so many other
Mm.
clients. It was well worth it. At that point, that was our marketing cost. That was the other thing. We never were big marketing. We never have. We run Google ads for everybody. We don't run any Google ads for today's business. I think we might have spent like $100 once. Um, that's not we we've never really our investment in marketing has always been opportunistic in terms of okay, this is a conference, but Billy can speak at this conference. Okay, if I can speak, I'm going to go there, but I'm not just going to go and walk around and try to meet somebody. I need to be the center of attention because we only have so much money that we can go and do these things. So let's make sure. And yes, we did. What did we realize? We realized that after going to other conferences and being like, wow, we just spent all that money to go to that conference in Vegas and we're a year out of it and nothing. Like, yeah, we had some phone calls, this, that, but that's just never how we built our business. We've really built it off of relationships. And by doing that has made marketing us a lot easier because we know how to
Wow.
build it within a circle rather than just trying to everyone to know about us. We try to dominate specific circles and then move on to a next.
Hmm. Wow, those stories are really interesting, and leveraging relationships, and the Cavaliers, even if they didn't pay much, just having them on your, I guess, roster, so to speak, definitely helps get other clients and whatnot. So,
Yeah, no. The Cleveland Cavaliers asked us to monitor their entire social media accounts off hours. At this point, we had 3 full-time employees. No, sorry, 5 full-time employees. Um, and we were responsible for monitoring not even just the Cavs, but the Cavs and all their properties, including Dan Gilbert, who's the CEO of Quicken Loans and owns the Cavs. And this was right around the time when he wrote a nice letter to LeBron James, which kind of went a little viral and everybody freaked out on social media for about a year. So it was a very, very exciting time for the company, but they asked us to monitor all of their social media. And I remember Tom looking at us and saying, I guess Bill's not sleeping. And it's like, if it takes signing the Cavs, I won't sleep for 2 years. It's fine.
mhm.
And we monitored their accounts from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. And then by 7 a.m., they had a report that said this was everything that happened on your social media accounts, all filtered by these are the big social accounts. Bleacher Report tweeted this. There were threats. If LeBron was or he was on the Heat at this time, but if there were threats when he came back to Cleveland, there was threats like, "Oh, I'm going to blow up the Quicken Loans Arena." We had to send it to like the FBI and different authorities, and then we never heard anything about it again. But it was definitely a exciting time and opened our eyes into wow, if an organization like the Cavs haven't mastered this, like what? And they're in sports, which was like the thing on social media back then. Um, that was the that was really eye opening to us, just to where the industry was, and how big of a force we could actually be within that social realm.
Mhm. Well, awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today and hearing the background story. I think that'll be encouraging to listeners to know that yeah, you can start with, 400 bucks and grow like you have. And of course, if people want to learn more about today's business and all of your offerings, they can go to tbsmo.com. I'll also have show notes at thesarahstjohn.com/, Billy Ash. Was there anything else that you wanted to, any closing words, I guess, before we end?
Well, first and foremost, just thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. For everyone who is listening, you can find me on any social media at Billy Ash Jr. Um, some final thoughts about the $400, taking it there. Take it one step at a time. Uh, don't get too mad when you make mistakes. Make a lot of them. Just learn from them. That's honestly what's gotten us to it. And people say don't make the same mistake twice. You probably will. Just try not to do it a third time. Don't get too down. Um, this entrepreneur journey can beat you up. It's definitely not for everyone, and it's not what's projected on Instagram where everything's great. We just got out of COVID. Uh, People ask all the time, how'd you do it? The hardest thing was trying to get clients to pay. I mean, I can't tell you enough about entrepreneurs that I hear that just, hey, this guy just hasn't paid me. What do I do? And those type of struggles. So I think there's a million different problems that are going to come up in starting a business, and especially starting so small and trying to grow it large. So enjoy the wins. That's what keeps you motivated. That's what's going to get you to the next day. It's very easy to stay motivated for 6 months. 9 years into it, when you're still chasing somebody down for money, you got to have those small wins to keep you growing, keep you motivated to get up tomorrow and move. And then the last thing I would say, all of today's businesses success is attributed to our employees. They are the foundation, from those first interns that we got to the employees that we have today. It's their team, it's their company. Tom and I try to steer this ship as best as we can. But they take us. Those employees have gotten us to where we are today. Like I said, that without them, we're nothing. So those employees have really, and your employees, and those hires that you make, in as small as the interns that we gave pizza to, those are the biggest things, that really drive us and make us successful, because there's only so far you're going to take, and you can take your business if you want to grow it. It's those employees and building them, and giving them the tools and power to succeed, that will really take you to the next level.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your insight. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much.